1, 2 of you. Oh, there we go. Got it. Alright, so peep. I'ma share some things that I ain't fully shared with me. Ain't sat with it long enough to see what it could be. But now I wanna see, yeah. So go and grab a seat. Yeah, so peep how my mind move. Once upon a time in my prime I was suicidal. Stressed and tired of life, only feeling like it's survival. Got depressed when seeing all the holes that's in the Bible. And we was being lied to, crackers remain blameless. Statistics of our lynches ain't matching with what they saying. For an African, ain't nothing dead as the English language. The more text we learn, more classified we is. It's dangerous, forever fatally famous. Our resilience is amazing. Adrenaline from killings that made our hearts hard to patient. They blatancy for hate, courageously we gotta face it. Mark from the get-go, set go, running from racists. But when we racing, I ain't so peep. I'ma share some things that I ain't fully shared with me. Ain't sat with it long enough to see what it could be. But now I wanna see, yeah. So go and grab a seat. Yeah, whiteness gonna die. I mean that from my heart that lay beneath my nine supply. I mean that for melanated people too who done let hate override. Nigga, you ain't slide. Currently working on equations so we can balance out the pie. Multiply, fear and hate by zero for whatever divide. Another nation of our people that deserve their fullest lives. Exonerate yourself from perpetuating these lies. Like heaven or hell is only a place we fear when we die. Making my decisions based on what it fly by Malcolm. Ballot of the bullet, bit the bullet, chose the ballot. The song got me not to vote, let me be clear with my semantics. Putting my genius in my craft, so just admire the craftsman. I ain't so peep. I'ma share some things that I ain't fully shared with me. Ain't sat with it long enough to see what it could be. But now I wanna see, yeah. So go and grab a seat. Yeah, sometimes I stutter, though I am. A concentrated cup of creativity's collided. You don't see it how we see it, then your scope is a collider. God protect us from the black mind who see himself as a rider. And they got nothing to live or die for. Picture a fella felon to peep that felonies aimed at those in hell where we won't get your ass to heaven. This means you felon. I got a genuine fear, more men who look like me than those with blue eyes. Only cause I know we more powerful. Surprise, I got a genuine desire to further prophecy of those who died. What up Christ, what up Nip? Gotta rise and walk over this Flint water issue minus the trident. Just know that if they know what I know, that'll make them psychic. Just know that if you tell me I'm lying, you prophesy and they done heard terms and conditions. I track number 9 them. Just know I ain't claiming to be God, just God's reminder. I ain't so peep. I'ma share some things that I ain't fully shared with me. Ain't sat with it long enough to see what it could be. But now I wanna see, yeah. So go and grab a seat. I ain't so peep. I'ma share some things that I ain't fully shared with me. Ain't sat with it long enough to see what it could be. But now I wanna see, yeah. So go and grab a seat. Yeah, yeah, I might have to do something a little because I didn't map this out really well. Because I kind of do want y'all to see me. I don't want to be like a talking head on here to do this introduction, but this camera on this laptop is just mad. Oh, so let's laugh real quick. I look like I'm from the 1800s right now. You feel me? I'm recording this from a flip phone, but. Anyway, it's going to give me something to laugh on later. I am your host. My name is Will Porter, and I am an agitprop artist, and I am a portraitist originally from Flint, Michigan. This is episode 6 of something called Palatable Dialogues, and it's brought to you in partnership with an amazing organization called Black and Mayberry, a 501c3 organization based out in El Segundo, California. And so their mission statement is combating racism through the arts. And since I've always been very adamant about, putting political and social nuance throughout my artwork, when I came across their organization, I thought that it was, a no-brainer. And so, shout out to that wonderful organization for assisting and helping to create spaces like these, where we can talk about things that may not have
as much of a speaking voice, or advocacy as I personally would like to see, or even some of my peers. And so, we're using this space to have some dialogues and do our best to center artwork amidst, most times kind of ambiguous subject matter. And so tonight is clairvoyance and clairaudience. And just based on some conversations that I've had with some friends and some strangers, it seems to be a lot of ambiguity around those terms and what they mean, and what they mean for the people who possess those gifts. And so I brought on some phenomenal friends of mine. You know what I'm saying? They just so happen to be panelists, and we're gonna hear a little bit from them in a sec. But yeah, just to give you guys a quick introduction to why we're here today. I'll let the experts speak on that in a bit. Though, just to get again a little bit more into some of the work that brought me here. Again, that was Agitprop, and that stands for agitation and propaganda. And I was introduced to that term in, let's call it 2015, maybe 2015. And since I was a young kid, I started drawing when I was 4. I was always, especially by my older brother, I was called like a smart aleck. You know what I'm saying? For knowing a lot, but then kind of weaponizing what I knew. Just wanted to just be an annoying little brother, spit the little facts that I just learned wherever I learned them. And once I found out that there was a genre where I could use knowledge for that purpose of irritating, and especially within this sense, I irritate different isms, especially within this place called America, whether that's racism, classism, capitalism, and using the artwork as a blood pressure cuff. Where in this instance, I'm not attempting to cut off the circulation of blood, though I definitely aim to cut off a circulation of comfort within people's minds, so that, within these spaces that we can have some dialogue around things that would make us uncomfortable, though I think what art allows is for some of the pressure to be taken off. It's not an actual happening, it's a semblance of a thought or an idea that can create a floor for people to chat about. And so I was introduced to that genre agitprop by an artist named Emory Douglas, and he is about probably like 80 years old now, in his 80s, and was the illustrator for the Black Panther newspaper. And so all of the pig imagery or F the police rhetoric that you would see belong to that gentleman. And so, to, just show us something that's a little bit along the lines of the type of work that I create, we're going to run a quick little, commercial just to get you all familiar with Agitprop. Yo, Will Porter here again, aka Canvas Killer, and this piece right here is called Saw. So this is another agitprop piece, agitation, propaganda, and it's essentially a movie poster. And what I wanted to do is to create a context where a lot of symbols that represent oppression, that represent all the different isms that could ever hold people into a place of oppression, I wanted to attack them and do exactly what the genre says, to agitate. And especially since it's under the guise of a movie, it was my way of lessening the impact or the effect of people being offended. So throughout the piece, I wanted to certainly read from left to right. And there are multiple groupings of Caucasian hands. One's wielding a gun. There's one that's here wanting to press play at the bottom of the canvas. There's a couple hands here gripping up this businessman carrying this briefcase. There's a hand here wanting to bang a gavel with this young person that's behind bars. And then ultimately at the end, you have someone throwing up the Hail Hitler salute. And so, yeah, what I wanted to do in an attempt to show that these different isms and these different forms of resistance can be cut through, hence saw. I have myself in my hands gripping this hand here and sawing through it. And I left out the blood intentionally because, in an attempt to reinforce the idea that each of these groups of hands are symbols and not people, I didn't want to show blood because it's not a thing, like in the Bible, it's spiritual warfare. And it's not anything that would actually involve any physical harm. So again, this is Saw, another agitprop piece, a phenomenal movie poster by none only than myself, Will Porter, aka Canvas Killer. Word, yeah, so bomb. Enough about myself. I'm not gonna come back on screen either. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to show that vintage footage. But I want to spend this time getting to know y'all a bit, and I think it'd be wisest to start with Mickey and 11, y'all being in the same room, which I think is that just made my heart smile. You feel me? Yeah, yo. In whatever order that y'all choose, if y'all could introduce yourselves, and just tell the people a little bit about what it is that you all do.
So my name is Mickey. I go by Mickey Ma'at. I'm a musician and psychic. They're both my daytime and my nighttime. I spend a lot of time in chaotic environments, sifting through different spiritual energies to provide what I feel is spirit guidance, angel communication, and ancestral communication. And I've been studying and reading tarot for 12 years. And I have been a clairvoyant, clairaudient, telepath, and empath my entire life. I feel like my entire purpose as a musician, a healer, artist, all the things that I do is to combine that insight and that knowledge and just share it to as many people as I possibly can. That's it.
Nice. Well, hello everyone. I'm 11 Elgahada, and I am a ceremonialist and a visual artist and a poet and an author. And I also do modeling for different institutions and schools. And I do so many things. I do everything I need to do. I do everything I need to do to push myself forward and to push my community forward towards a future that I envision, which is a future where the earth is a place of compassion and abundance and emotional intelligence,
yes,
and cultivating the bravery to talk about your feelings, the bravery to talk about your truth, the bravery to embody the fullness of who you are down to the inner child and then up towards the ancient. So I'm basically in the practice of bridging that gap between the erasure of identity that a lot of people in the African diaspora feel. And I feel that the erasure of identity and the emotional trauma and the inner city is perpetuating a cycle of self-destruction. So I hold ceremonies that are building emotional dialogues, but also are like big parties and honoring the ancestors. And the ceremonies are also a place for people to be heard. It's so important to speak and then to like reciprocate that by listening. So it's group therapy And also thinking about what does it mean to activate ancestral remembrance, and what does it mean to be born anew at the same time. And yes, I made a book to go with the ceremony called Here the Ceremony Begins. So it's like a take home ceremony guide. It has like a numerology journal. It has my own personal testimonies with my spiritual journey. And it also helps people identify what religious choices to make, help them find the God that made them, the God they are. And also just activating a sense of past life recovery.
Yes.
And helping people go through those spiritual unknown spaces with like things to help them protect themselves. So I'm just like trying to help people get the tools that they need to heal emotionally and spiritually. That's my main purpose. And then I also create oils and do aromatherapy. And a lot of my work is basically sensuality, spirituality, beauty, and healing. So that's the bulk of the work that I do. Yes.
Hey, word, yo, yo, thank you so much, yo. Um, wow, yo, now let me put myself on screen so y'all can see because I want to show her book some love. Give me a sec. Actually, I'm gonna put it on this other screen. But I purchased her book, yo. It looks like this, right? And yeah, 11 is definitely like a youthful elder. It's like the best way I can describe it, yo. Yeah, she's definitely one of those people that, you know, by age, even though she's younger than I am, not only when I'm like reading a book, but even just when I'm around her, you know what I'm saying? Like, has one of those energies where I feel like I'm sitting at the foot of somebody still, you know what I'm saying? Just like, yeah, a level of respect for somebody's experience and what they've learned from their experiences. So I recommend this book. That's not even just kind of like me being, you know, a friend. You feel me? Like if I didn't know her, I would still be like, yo, this book gave me a lot of clarity. You know what I'm saying? A lot of things that I had experienced that I maybe wasn't able to compartmentalize or like give language to. I think you did a really great job. And I'm not finished yet. I may be on like page 30. Yeah, page 38. You feel me? But yeah, I would buy this book. Word. All right, so yo, if we could get Waiter, you know what I'm saying? We about to mute you real quick, sir. Tell the people what you do.
So can y'all hear me? Because I don't think I can hear anybody. But
yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. So my name is James Rapelier. I go by the name Waiter. I'm a full-time filmmaker, entrepreneur. I run a multimedia and film production company called Chillin'. And Chillin' is an acronym for Conscious Healing Learning Network. I don't know if Will knew that, but yeah, man. I say I do a lot of things. I grew up in the metaphysician world. My mom's a past life regressionist, a hypnotherapist, metaphysician, all that. So I definitely have a lot of touch points and references when it comes to spiritual evolution, is because that's what I grew up in. So when you were saying, I think the young lady before, the other lady, sorry, I forgot the name, but so when she was speaking about that, it was kind of making me draw points to like, damn, I know exactly what she's talking about. Because for myself, when Will kind of reached out to me, he was like, hey man, do you got any things about clairaudience or clairvoyance or any of those types of things? I was like, of course I do. You know what I mean? And in my world where I'm at, a lot of people, they look at that, they be like, nah, this man crazy. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't necessarily know, or they can neither identify with those types of senses, or more so just kind of break down what you're feeling or what you're experiencing. And I've been going through that for a lot of my life. And I feel like once I kind of turned, I think it was probably around like 2011 or 2012, things kind of started like amping up for me. And I started really paying attention, diving into the metaphysics realm and spirituality, man. I was just research. I jumped down the rabbit hole. I was listening to a lot of brothers like Bobby Hemmett, Dr. Phil Valentine, C. Freeman L, man, and just kind of like feeding my mind of this new journey that I was on, excuse me. But yeah, man, it's a lot that I do, and sometimes I have an issue speaking about who I am. Like prime example, like creating a bio and just sending that out because I feel like all that stuff is cool from doing work with BET and Facebook and Meta and Tidal. Yeah, that's all cool, but yet again, who am I at the core? You know what I'm saying? So it's just it's definitely a conversation that I feel like we all can have when it comes to the more in-depth question of who we are and why we are. You know what I'm saying? So that's my spiel so far.
Hey, good look, bruh. And I'm glad you brought up like what the acronym for chilling means. Can you repeat that for me, please? Hey, waiter, can you repeat what chilling means for me one more time, please?
Conscious, healing, learning, network.
Conscious Healing Learning Network. That's fire. That's fire. Because I literally one of my questions was based on the namesake of your brand, right? So
Yeah.
so I'm gonna start there, because I didn't, which is dope. I didn't send y'all the questions, so you had no idea what I was going to ask you.
That's because you got to
point, guys.
but that's what I'm saying. Like you guys, like, and this is like, and I don't mean to cut you off, but even just to that point, man, it's just like sometimes you can't necessarily explain what it is that you're receiving, or you can't necessarily explain why you have answers or why you know what you know. It's just what it is. You see what I'm saying? So when you bring this information up to people, they're like, man, he bullshitting. But yet again, deep in your mind, you know, and sometimes it's not even a conscious thought. It's just like, bam, something pop in your head and bam. How'd you know that? I don't know. You see what I'm saying? So it get deep, man. Like, and I'm pretty sure y'all can attest to that, man, because like this spirituality and the energies and all this stuff, man, it's so applicable to multiple things. And sometimes we feel like we gotta fit a certain mold to be in that world. You know what I'm saying? But it's like it don't happen like that.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, definitely what I had prepared my question around was just based on more so the namesake, like how it sounds, and not what the acronym means. But the idea of chilling, right? Just like this premise of peace, you know what I'm saying, and something that's maybe not as up tempo, you know what I'm saying, a lot more laid back. My question is, just based on your experiences, what things did you realize, experience or witness that maybe weren't so chill, weren't so relaxed, that would have inspired you to have your name for your media company read as Chillin'?
When I first came up with chilling, right, it was kind of like basically what that whole thought came about. I was literally chilling with my friends and I was just shooting videos, right? So then obviously, you know, being a creative, and this is probably around like 2010, you know what I'm saying? So I was literally just chilling, right? You know what I'm saying? And I would spell it like the Ebonics way people would spell it, drop the G, Chillin. But like as I kind of evolved in just like the production company and just in my own personal life and being on my spiritual journey, I was, like I said, I jumped down this rabbit hole, man, of just trying to understand who I am and all these things that were happening to me, man. And then I kind of stumbled across like the letter I being associated with the ego. And I was just like, damn, bro, like this can't be good, because now I'm sitting there thinking like, okay, so I don't want any ego to kind of be reflected from my brand or just me personally, you know what I'm saying? Because I feel like I'm a natural humanitarian, man. Everybody get along type of stuff, right? So as I was kind of looking at the brand and, you know what I'm saying, just trying to just evolve, man, I was like, yo, let me take the eyes out. You know what I'm saying? So let me take the ego out the brand, because I want the brand to reach and be for everybody. You know what I'm saying? So then, okay. You see what I'm saying? So once I kind of got it to where it was CHLN, I was like, okay, I think this can work, because if you read it exactly how it says, you probably gonna be like chilling. You know what I'm saying? And then, you know what I'm saying? And in turn, it becomes chilling. But then on the deeper aspect of it, you know what I'm saying, just kind of just just being alive and going through life and everything, and just being a full-time entrepreneur and always feeling like you got to be on the go. You know what I'm saying? And even on a spiritual standpoint, it's just like, bro, like, where are you going? You know what I'm saying? Why do you feel like you're in a rush to live life when you're here to experience everything, bro? Chill. You know what I'm saying? Relax and chill. So I was just like, damn, bro, like the evolution of the thought, you know what I'm saying, will tie into your own spiritual evolution. Because if it's meant to be, it'll be. But it's your job to do the work. You know what I'm saying? So you got to put forth the work, put it in, and you have to basically create whatever it is that you're receiving. You know what I'm saying? And just kind of create that. It get deep, bro.
Hey,
Like,
trust me, I know, dog.
you know what I'm saying? It really get deep because it's like, to be honest, bro, like I think back to when I was working at the dog kennel, dog. Like,
Hey, wait. It just for the sake of like a lot of the amount of time.
Gotcha.
Let's put it. I do want you to hold on to that story though. You know what I'm saying? But for the sake of like making sure that everybody get they rocks off, I'm gonna say hold on just a second, man. I want to direct my next question to 11, and while you were talking, I definitely heard you bring up your title as far as like a ceremonialist, and one of the words I think you brought up as well as far as like it being a celebration, and I'm curious as to like what things that maybe your parents or your family or friends or otherwise, like what things were celebrated about you, like since you were young, that may have inspired you becoming a ceremonialist and wanting to provide that type of space for others.
Yeah, wow. First, yeah, thank you so much for that question, because that I wasn't expecting that question. Not that I had anything like not that I had this idea of questions, but I would say that it became like need based, because when I was a child, I never really had a place to go. Um, I never really had a place to go to be myself. And everybody who was like me, like alternative, not, like, or overstimulated, hypersensitive, people who like have a hard time talking. Like when I was younger, it was hard for me to talk if the space wasn't held. Like if everybody wasn't like, okay, everybody, it's talking time, I didn't talk. So there's like a type of organization that was needed for me. Like I needed organized space held. I needed it to feel organized in order for it to feel safe. So that was a need that I had, and a need that a lot of people in my community had, especially as an artist, and especially living in. I actually moved around every 2 years, so we constantly moved as well. So the ceremonies being something that's happening in multiple cities is also on purpose, because there's like a place that people need to go, but it can't just be like, for example, like my roots are in New Jersey, but I'm not only in New Jersey. So it's like, okay, I'm doing things in New Jersey, but I also have a community in New York. So it's like, okay, I'm going to be doing it there. And then even when I was in Ghana, there was a need for meditation. So it's like, there's always going to be a need for people to be in stillness. Like there's always going to be a need to look back and process if somebody just died. Like the world keeps going. Like you have to keep going to work. You have to keep, like, if you have children, you have to keep like supporting them. Like nobody really holds space for the world to stop to process the different things that we experience in our lives. And for so many people, there's nowhere to go if they don't want to get drunk or just party. Mm-hmm. So there's like a space.
I feel you, yo.
Like we, like, some gentle time, but it also is a celebration because we have, drummers come, and we have a lot of different instrumentalists. And it's really thinking about bringing those ancestral rhythms, because we were not allowed to practice our natural ceremonial just way of being. Religions were forced on us. So ceremony is something that has been practiced by our people for so long, but it's been ripped apart. And so we don't really know what it means to gather for a sacred purpose outside of weddings and graduation. But it's saying that, hey, you are sacred and you are special and you deserve to be heard. And we're also looking at the cycles of the moon. So the new moon is when everything is renewed and beginnings. This is the perfect time to set intentions. So we're coming together to support that and to incubate that and to strengthen that energy that it takes to cultivate that inside. And then the full moon is a time of illumination where everything's coming to a head. So you're going to need support during that time too. So we're really thinking about, and I say we, I always say we, like I got this huge team.
Hey, you do.
Because yeah, that's what we do. And I'm not the only one doing it. You know, there's been so many talks about a lunar prophecy where divine feminine energy is coming in to like bring back some balance and gently trigger the patriarchy. So trigger it to light and trigger it to a higher consciousness. So I would say for my inner child, it was really need based, and I always was the family member who organized things. And ever since I was young, since I was 15, I've been doing events, but they were all different. Like, open mic, or specifically come and meditate, or it'd be like, let's talk about our feelings, or let's talk about love. Like I will always ask these questions to the community and then gather around it. But the ceremonies provided structure. And I was going through a lot of different initiations at that point in my journey. And then it opened up to be more intentional and to do it with every new moon and full moon. So
Right. Hey, that's lit. Hey, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Um, I'm glad, and of course, in hindsight, that you had that need. You know what I'm saying? To like have needed something and didn't necessarily get it in the quantities that you wanted, and that you stepped up to create that. Because that shows, like you do it with an amount of love that it definitely seems like it's close to you. You know what I'm saying? So I'm glad you needed it. I'm glad you needed it. And word, I see the questions coming in. We're gonna make sure we get to those in a bit. But yo, Mickey, I got a question for you next, yo. Don't put it on the screen just yet, shit. But yeah. So honestly, after reading through these questions, I feel like they can be generalized for each of you. Though I did specifically think for each person, like, what do I want to ask them? So Mickey, the first question that came to mind for yourself is, given your gift of psychic intuition, I'm definitely it brought up a curiosity for me, especially like just thinking about the maybe like the formative years of one, understanding that you have a gift, right? And then I want you to kind of go into what that was for you, though. I could only imagine that with a gift, literally being something you receive, to be able to receive, whether it's discover other thoughts, other feelings, through your senses. I became curious as to like what systems, if any, have you either learned or constructed that have assisted you in compartmentalizing the different things in which you discover through your gifts?
Again, these are really awesome, well thought out questions. And I love that you said the gift is something that you're literally receiving, because I never really think of it like that. They call it the gift. So, but I would say I was born a clairvoyant, clairaudient. Before I could really even, I began speaking very, very young. Maybe about 6 months, I had started already like trying to do sentences, but I could say yes or no.
I can see that. Just knowing you, I can see that.
Yeah, I like knew how to like speak very, very early. I knew how to walk very, very early. And those things I feel like were always like, I always took myself with this seriousness. And that's how my grandmother would be like, no, this is a great spirit in here. It's not like a child spirit. And I remember everyone, I would say serious things or contribute serious things, and people would be like, oh, you're so cute. Oh, but I have like literal writings and drawings of my plans for the world. And I went to schools that luckily fostered that. But I always knew I wanted to be a healer. I always wanted to do things to heal the world, to heal people who were in need. And as young as 3 or 4, I began doing past life regression, maybe dreams or even visions. And I would like sometimes be crying and screaming and telling my mom maybe things that like my mom would be heavily disturbed by, like you've never, I would have things about KKK and stuff like that. And so very, very young, my mom would tell me like, listen, you have a very important gift, like, and it runs in our family. Like, my grandmother, who I was raised with, had that gift, became very Christian. So it kind of was kept away from me for a while, but she was always very magical and was a medium. So she could see and speak to spirits, and did all the time, in her waking life, throughout her entire life. So I always grew up with this inner knowing that I see things, beyond what other people feel is real. And I would have memories of before I was born with my family. And I think that was always a sign. My grandmother would be like, oh no, she was watching us before she came here. So I remember things like that. I remember things that I wasn't there for. I remember songs I haven't heard. And I had a friend that I met who was also very, very clairvoyant when I was about 12 years old. And she could see and speak to spirits at that very young age. And me and her would do ESP trials. Well, what are you looking at? Well, I'm looking at this. Tell me what color it is. I would be like, I think it's blue and it's purple. She'd be like, you're right, it is blue and it's purple. What consistency is it? Like, we would be doing what we were just playing with our intuition, but it was really ESP trials. So I started really developing the gift, being able to guess cards, colors, things like that, off of just playing and practicing. But for me, I've opened up a lot of different portals. And luckily, my grandmother, growing up with as a medium, she would always be like, as a kid, she'd be like, if you feel something you don't like, tell it to go away. If you feel something, you hear something that doesn't feel pleasant, you shut it down and you invite in God, or you invite in whatever spirits you're urging. And for me, as a clairvoyant, I began to use reading as my tool. Reading, and as I'm like looking, and I'm like, 11, do I know anything about clairvoyance? There's like 20 like clairvoyance books right here. Reading is the most essential tool that had helped me develop this inner voice, helped me distinguish the difference between my voice and God, the difference between angels and guides, and who says what. And so they come in different tones, they come in different waves. But if it's not all intuitive, it's not all something that's just going to come to you. And it can create a lot of different dis-ease in the mind when we identify with every thought and every spirit that we pick up on. Because there's a lot of projections out there, there's a lot of antennas, and there's a lot of different things that we receive. So reading about these different things, and actually going out in the field and practicing them with that confidence that that God or the universe, whatever guides, angels, ancestors are working through you, oh, they don't lie. And when you have that confidence, the more they are just coming through, the more clean you are spiritually and physically, the more they start to foster that information and that knowledge. So over 12 years, yeah, I've cultivated a lot of knowledge, but being in the field every day, every other day, every week, and consistency, I am surprising myself with the amount of like information that I am able to hold space for that comes from outside.
Hell yeah. Hey, that's dope. I'm glad that it sounds like, even if it wasn't like a large community, you know what I'm saying? Like, even what you just talking about, you doing ESP trials like with a friend of yours, you know, because like that sounds like an ill pastime for kids. I ain't gonna hold you. You know what I'm saying? Like I spy with my little eye without actually looking, and you're just like, yeah, it's a blue ribbon over there. But no, that's hard, yo. And then the reading aspect of it as well, as far as like educating yourself on. Again, like yes, it's annoying, though. I feel as though, and this is just me speaking personally. If y'all can attest, that would be lit too. But like to when you have a gift. And I like that you phrase it in a way where you're like, the things that you're gifted with, they aren't of untruths. So like, it's honest, it's immediate. You know what I'm saying? And then to also be in a lot of spaces where that gift is not talked about or championed, like then it becomes this battle of like, all right, well, I know this is real just as much as I know that my name is my name. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know it with the same regard, and because someone else can't see it, experience it in the same way, like, it gets a little disheartening. So I'm glad that, in whatever means that you had available, that you were using it. You know what I'm saying? And like keeping the confidence that you had in it. As I could have anticipated, I already know that with so many storytellers, you know what I'm saying, that we have on this panel right now, like it's so bittersweet because I'm like, dang, I'm looking at the run of show, and I'm like, I want to be able to like finesse everything. I do have more questions for y'all, but before we get there, we'll look at a brief ad real quick from Black and Mayberry. And then what I want to do after is to start censoring the artwork. And I'll make sure that even with the comments and the questions that y'all have, I'll find a way to formulate my ask and my questions for y'all into when I speak. Because it's too many ill people in the room right now for me to not like still get my questions for y'all off. So yeah, we're gonna get into a commercial real quick and ad from my partner Black and Mayberry, and then we'll talk about some art. So, bomb. Um, I wanna chime back in with Waiter first. You know what I'm saying? Just in relation to the artwork that we're centering tonight. And what's peculiar about this piece of art is I wouldn't even honestly know like what genre to put it in, because it's not necessarily agitprop in my opinion, because it only agitates me. You know what I'm saying? Like just to look at it, like it's not necessarily for somebody else. Though, yeah, this piece it means a lot to me. And yeah, it's called Perception versus Reality. And yeah, Waiter, I would love, man, for like whatever questions or comments that you have about this piece to start us off, because I would love to speak some more about it with y'all.
So what this piece has me thinking, and it makes me think about higher self and lower selves, right? And it makes me feel like that we are not our bodies. And for the fact that you standing there looking in the mirror, it really has me raising the question of which side is the perspective and perception versus the reality. Like, is the image with the man with his hat on, is that, you know what I'm saying, the perspective, and the image of, like, it looks like it could be like your actual being and your actual energy, is that the reality? You see what I'm saying? Like, because I love this piece, and as I remember seeing this for many, many times, man, and I'm just like, damn, Will is dope as hell. How does he think it is? Where does it come from? You know what I'm saying? And at the same time, as we talking about abilities, some of your artwork may be channeling. You know what I'm saying? So my question is, like, when you create an artwork, do you feel like you're channeling from, whether it's from within, from your subconscious, and for the fact that you feel like it sits uneasy with you, does it feel like you created a piece as a basically, is this a reflection of who you truly are? And for the fact that you're consciously looking at it, and this is like, damn, it's agitating me. Are you really that man in the mirror?
Yeah, that's a great question, man. Yo, it's dope that quite honestly, over the years, my response to that question has changed, right? And so when I first made this piece, I was I was painting off instinct, right? And so what I mean by that is like after so many years of I used to create a lot of portraits. And granted, there's portraiture involved in this piece, but I used to do a lot of like, you know, from the neck up, self portraits of myself or other people. And by the time I got to this piece, because I made this in 2012, so I wasn't yet. I was 21. I was 21 years old, and at that time, what I remember most vividly is feeling a spirit watching me while I painted. And this was the first piece that I would feel that. So it's not to say that that was the first time that there was a spirit present, but at that age and with this piece in particular, it was the first time that I ever felt something in the room with me. And so, what I would always remember on this piece, especially, and then all the ones after, is when I would get that feeling that somebody was in the room with me and I would look over my shoulder, the feeling would go away. And so I'm like, dang, like, all right, I know I ain't tripping, and I know I'm home by myself, right? So like, I'm feeling something, and then every time I attempted to look forward, it went away, right? The feeling went away, and so I probably worked on this piece for maybe like a couple months on and off, you know what I'm saying? And so I remember at some points of me working on it, there was a voice, but the most peculiar thing about it is that I couldn't gender it. Like it was just a voice. You know what I'm saying? And like the voice was essentially saying, I'm not here to like bother you. You know what I'm saying? Like I just like to watch. I just enjoy watching you paint, right? And so it never felt like any malice or anything like that. So yeah, like for this piece in particular, I don't want to say that there wasn't a channeling happening. I feel like it was so close to who I am, I didn't recognize it was happening. So I was painting what I wanted to see, which was like a lot. I love primary colors, you know what I'm saying? So blue, red, and yellow. And so I knew I wanted to see that, right? I'm just like, let me start with what I like. And so in the reflection, like what's so odd is that a lot of the things in the reflection mean something symbolic to me now, right? Where like I use the image of this head from a Basquiat painting, and I'll pull that up in a second. But I also want to give like a trigger warning because like it's attached to a like a graphic image of like me having gotten stitches after being cut or stabbed rather, and it's like all of those things that makes this image make sense like happened, right? So I painted this face over top of my head because at the time I was getting a lot of Basquiat comparisons, and so a phenomenal artist, you know what I'm saying? I'd never take that away from him, and at the same time I was feeling a glass ceiling, like I was getting closer and closer to a glass ceiling, and it was twofold. I didn't want to disrespect his legacy by comparing himself to me, and vice versa. You know what I'm saying? It's just like I do something that he doesn't, he does something that I don't or can't, and I knew that if I didn't figuratively face that I would like either see him as my ceiling and I wouldn't attempt to go past that, or I would I don't know, I didn't know what that would do for me, but I knew I had to create some sort of visual where I put this side would be my reality, or I hoped it to be. But over the years I found myself liking the reflection more, right? I'm just like, yo, this reflection is hard. Like what I'm able to see over here is just, it's a lot more excitable with the colors used, with the textures that are used. But one thing that became really peculiar about especially what's here on the sleeve is like literally in the piece that he made, these same like lines are there, right? And lo and behold, I made this painting in 2012. In 2017, I got stabbed and got the same amount of stitches in the same arm. You know what I'm saying? So it was almost like I was painting from instinct because my body knew it and could foresee it, but I didn't know the reflection well enough to be like, oh, it's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? It was just like I painted it because aesthetically I liked it. And again, I'll give this trigger warning, but I do have an image so I can show y'all what I mean. Just a sec. You feel me? So literally in the same arm, and in me defending myself, I was putting my arm in the way of my heart, right? I was putting my arm in the way to not get stabbed in my chest. And so the fact that that element is within it as well, you know what I'm saying? It's just like the heartbeat that's here. There were a lot of things that I started to realize, even like the bold on the shoulders, the bold color of just kind of like this heaviness. But this piece in particular, that's a great question again, though. I wasn't aware of the download or the channeling while I was doing it. This more so is like I had to wait until some things happened to be like, yo, I knew before I knew, or knew before I experienced it. Where I hope that answered your question. All right, back. All right, so, let's see. Look, both of y'all over there taking notes. That's lit. Yeah. So either one of y'all, you know what I'm saying? If there's like a question or a comment top of mind for one of y'all, I would love to hear it.
I actually wrote down the notes that I emailed to you before the show, about like how I felt like the ancestor, like I felt like that Basquiat head is very it resembles an ancestor to me. It resembles like an Ori. It resembles the messages that are coming from like celestial guides. I always view like ancestor masks, or even if it is a Basquiat painting, to come from a very like ancient energy. So, and as you're saying that it was over your head in the reflection, that also gave me more insight, that you could just put that thing on in that other side. You can choose to be that insight all the time. But in your waking life, you have to do so much work to get to that reflection. But I also put like the mirror, the fact that you had used that as a mirror. This is always like viewed as, for me, as like seeing beyond what the reality is. And so the fact that he's looking into the mirror and seeing a deeper version of themselves, or even seeing a version of something that is protecting them or over them or with them. But I also was maybe trying to tie this in, and I made a note somewhere saying that emotions are our psychic powers. So somewhere here, I think like the emotion that the person was feeling, the sadness, or even like the pain, that I feel like the head is down, they're wearing blue, a lot of dark colors, and maybe the idea of fire or flames, it could be grief and pain that are being expressed through the photo from my own perception. And I was saying that maybe those emotions, those heavy emotions, are those insights, like, and like we abandon those heavy emotions, because we're like, think that they're so far away from spirit, it's so far away from God. But anger and grief and pain, or experiencing trauma, are all under the lens of intuition. And then I had one more note about the bleeding on the hands. And I associate it back to emotions are our psychic power, right? Because of guilt and shame. And I say maybe sometimes the guilt and shame comes from the weight of the ability to perceive. Now that you see what you've seen, like my guides gave me this, like now that you've seen what you've seen, you can't go back. You have work to do, or you're worse than all the people who are doing nothing and don't know. So now that
That's a fact.
you got to do it. So those are my insights. But if you had anything to contribute or tell me about the mirror, the Ori, and the bleeding hands, that would be really awesome.
Hell yeah, yeah. So, great points. I'll start with the bleeding hands, yo. Um, so definitely, you were hitting it on the head as far as like the idea of the both the shame and like the weight, um, tying into why I made my hands bloody, because I definitely associate like being caught red-handed. You know what I'm saying, with like guilt. And yeah, what it was a bit more innocently at the time was, in that year was the first year that I started using the moniker of Canvas Killer. And so for what I knew that would mean for me, it was like, all right, like this is what you have the power to do, which is to personify or symbolize different issues on canvas in order to mutilate them, to dehumanize them. And yeah, like, because I love math, so I approach most agitprop pieces with creating a problem that may exist just for me, or maybe something like a problem that doesn't even exist yet, but posing a problem so that I can then solve it. And so, yeah, initially the bloody hands were, um, me like knowing what I had coming for me, as far as like you have a task to put things on canvas that you have to figuratively kill. You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta put these figments of your thoughts on canvas and make them tangible, to then take the power out of it by making it like a beautiful aesthetic, or an aesthetic that can attract. And so, so yeah, that's what the bloody hands were about initially. Um, as far as the mirror, yeah, I've definitely always been a really reflective person. Yeah, it's often said that some of the wisest conversations you'll have is with yourself. You know what I'm saying? So like, I enjoy sitting with my thoughts and because I'm a visual learner, it's like, I'll keep or store memories in the form of photos or videos, like short clips. And so I'm certain that what I knew was coming was, I couldn't formulate why I was feeling what I was feeling. So I needed to have a bit more of like a reflection outside of myself, like outside of me just thinking about myself. I had to put two parts of how I think of myself in front of me, like into a tangible place, so then I could look at myself objectively and be like, oh, okay, so this on the right, this may be, just in normalcy how I see myself. Though I was more so attempting to look at the reflection and kind of gauge, like, how are other people perceiving me? You know what I'm saying? Because again, I keep getting these comparisons, and then I'm studying the artist, right? Because I think a lot of times people will innocently compare because there are some subtle similarities between you and someone else, and not even the fact that you two have like similar context or like similar purpose. But they'll be like, oh, Will, you have locks. Basquiat had locks. You're just like him. You know what I'm saying? Or like, you use colors. He used colors. You guys are twins. And so it took me like, putting some of the imagery of his that I like and meshing that with what I understand and know of myself, just to see if literally, like, aesthetically, if it made sense to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, does it make sense for me to see symbolically something that another artist has made and to put that on my head? And then as far as like the reference to, you said the face looks like an Ori. Yeah, in the painting that I was inspired by, and I have to share that at a later time. Shame on me for not adding that to the slides. But it's a painting. It's spelled like Aopkhes. And essentially, it's a head that looks very similar to this. And what interested me about it originally, which I didn't include in this, is that the figure seemed to be wearing headphones. And I was listening to a lot of music at the time because I like to listen to music and paint. And I remember being in a place where like I was wanting to, I'm sure subconsciously, be okay with my own quote unquote blackness. So it's like, all right, without giving this face any features and just making it black, like this is a black face, though he's smiling, you know what I'm saying? Half his smile is gold. There were parts about that face that, even though aesthetically, if I saw somebody who looked like that walking down the street, I would skedaddle. I'd be out of there. You know what I'm saying? But like to view myself in what either me or society could deem as being ugly or unwanted, I wanted to put that again above my own face to kind of symbolize my thoughts. I wanted to put that image so closely to me where I wasn't so strongly tethering beauty to aesthetics. You know what I'm saying? We're just like, yo, like, ooh, shout out to Shay. Hey, thank you. So this is the painting that inspired my piece, right? And again, like what he has around his head looks like headphones to me. With like on the left side, there's a bit of a blue kind of muff, and it looks like there's a blue wire coming down to his face. On the other side, it's not as pronounced with the blue, but there's kind of a shape going around the side of the head that the locks are on that just gave me this idea that he maybe took a photo of himself wearing over the head headphones or something. And yeah, I was just like, yo, there's something attractive about this face, even though it doesn't match human aesthetic. Like the fact that this person is smiling, the eyes are alert. It just again, it made me happy, yo, just to think about, just how we may be viewed within a society based on race and color. I wanted to put the blackest, darkest thing and be comfortable in its beauty.
Wow, that is so beautiful.
Thank you, yo. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Word. Yeah, yo. This piece now is what, 12 years old. You feel me? So it's cool that over time I learned more about myself just in like viewing art that I made mad years ago. Um, but yeah, since we've definitely like run a little bit past like these schedules, but I wanna get back into some of the questions that I have for you all because they definitely tie into some of the stuff that I'm talking about. And yo, waiter, I wanna ask you another question, man, um, because it has to do with like the the clear audience, like the hearing of the voice, or whether even that's like your internal dialogue. I know for myself, I and this is why I'm curious. Like, I don't know as to whether there is an importance to the gender ascribed to a voice. If at all you even like discern a gender, or whether it's just a voice. But my question for you is, yeah, like with whatever downloads that you may hear, have you experienced there being a gender that you may hear more often than not? And if so, like, do you think that that's relevant to how it is that you actually receive the message?
It is the voice, and a lot of times I hear it in my voice, but it doesn't feel like my thoughts, right? And what I can in this little story to kind of go with that, I'll make it quick. I was at my parents' house one day, and I just kept hearing it, and this gets repetitive. I was just hearing this phrase. It was like Janie, 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 and I'm like, okay. So now I think now when I receive stuff, sometimes I'm trying to decipher. Okay, what the hell is this? Who the hell is Janie? I don't know what Janie, but it's just like Janie, 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 and I'm like, what? What? I'm literally like, feel like I'm crazy. I'm like, what? And it's like, you gotta go. Janie, you gotta go. Janie, you gotta go. And I'm like, what the hell is this? So I go up to my mom's room. And I'm like, yo, mom, I know I may sound crazy, but I keep hearing Janie, 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 you gotta go. I'm like, mom, who the hell is Janie? She was like, you know what, James? Janie is actually your sister Kathy. My mom's work, basically like sister, how they do that. She was like, Janie is basically your sister Kathy's real name.
I don't know if it froze on y'all's screen, but he's frozen on mine.
So the voice was like, Janie, you gotta go. So I called my sister Kathy because that's her name, Janie, and I told her what was going on. I was like, hey, yo, Kathy, the joint said I'm getting this message in my head that said, Janie, you gotta go. And she's like, you know what, James, thank you. And then she was like, hey, Regina, that's my mom. And she was like, Regina, I have something to tell you. She was like, what? She was like, yo, I've been thinking about leaving Booz Allen to do my own thing and open up a crystal shop. So she was like, James, thank you, because that's the confirmation that I needed. And then she ended up leaving the job and starting a crystal shop and living a happily ever after. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to, no, it's crazy, bro, because it's like I can hear it. I'll see it. Sometimes I feel it. Like sometimes, like somebody will touch me on the back of my shoulder. I turn around and ain't nobody there. But it's all to get my attention, and it's all for me to pay attention to what's going on. You know what I mean? And so to your points, to your question, man, it's not necessarily a gender in the voice. It's something that I feel, and 9 times out of 10, it sounds like my voice. It just don't feel like these are my thoughts. And it always feels like I gotta let somebody know something. Just like somebody said earlier, your antennas is up. Okay, I feel like I'm the tower, all the signals is coming to me. And sometimes I feel like there's just responsibility for me to relay messages. And it applies to many different situations, bro. So yes. So it's my
Yeah,
voice.
that's lit. No, that's a fact, and that's lit, bruh. For one, I'm glad that you listened. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad that you, because it's two different things to hear and to listen. You know what I'm saying? So I'm glad that you listened, bro. Word, and I definitely just realized that I didn't allow 11 her chance to give either a question or a comment on the piece. And I guess since I saw y'all in the same room, like y'all just, I heard from Mickey and I was like, oh, I've heard from both of them. but yo, 11, I would love to hear any commentary or question that you have on the piece first before I ask you another question.
Yeah, I definitely was thinking about how you painted that, and then it came, and it makes me think about how art is it's like a conjuring type of thing, because you're visualizing something that doesn't exist in this realm yet, and then you're pulling it through the canvas. So it's an active portal.
It's magic.
And it made me think about how, in a sense, you manifested yourself getting cut like that. And then it makes me think
That's a fact.
like like the like okay, this is like, yeah, I'm just gonna, this is my real thoughts. I was thinking, because I was like, okay, it's like, in a way, like, but then you got to think about why you made the painting, right? You was thinking about your internal, like, externalizing itself. So you already had that cut in the spirit world. But then, like, by you shining light on something that was already like inside of you in the spirit world, you like gave it extra power when you painted it. And then it's like, the more witnesses it has, it becomes an even more active portal. And then you said that it's 12 years. So this is a 12-year portal that you've been carrying. So I guess my question is, what is the root of your attachment to the painting? And what does it mean? What would it mean when it's sold or when you release it? Yeah.
Hey, that's a lit question. All right, back. So, shout out. It sold, right? So it's already sold. It sold in 2014, right? So I didn't hold on to it long. Yeah. But what's dope about it is that we're in the home of the person that bought it. My mama bought this painting, right? so, yo, yeah, my mom, she's wise. She was like, yeah, whatever you want for it, I'm gonna pay. And so that's why I've never let nobody play with me about my prices, because my mama paid full price, right? So, but yeah, so quite honestly, I would say that an attachment that I may have had to it was, again, I would say it had a lot to do with like my thoughts on my own aesthetic beauty. And yeah, like this being the first piece that I entertained the idea of something about me that's intangible being beautiful as well. And so yeah, I didn't, after quite literally after I finished a piece like this, because it was all instinct based, I was attached to the process. I was attached to going down in the basement every time I felt called to work on it, and sitting down there in the cold, you know what I'm saying, and making it. Though afterward, it was just essentially like, it had become a signature. You know what I'm saying? Like this photo was my Abby on most of my social media for like 10 years. You know what I'm saying? Because when I coined myself as Canvas Killer, like this was the image that people remembered. So it was like, you know, I wasn't attached to the physical piece, you know, because I haven't had it in my possession in mad long. You know what I'm saying? But since you know, again, I'm in front of it, I was like, yeah, let me add it to the conversation. But yeah, that's a great question. It's a great question. But yeah, it sold 10 years ago.
So grounded. So this is the painting where you said you felt a spirit watching you, right?
Correct.
And it made me think about how like there was a certain time when I was like really trying to connect to Basquiat so hard, to where like I was like watching his movie, and when he was like snorting the coke, my nose started bleeding. Like that's how
Oh, goddamn. Yeah.
really like I took away all of the borders of my aura, and I was merging with his spirit, and I would feel him watching.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like that's probably what was happening. Like he was probably watching you and was there with you while you made it.
I was thinking that too.
Yeah. So
Word. Yeah. Shout out to Jean Michel. Yo. Yeah. I believe that to be true as well. Cause I've had a dream about Jean Michel, and what was dope is like he didn't say anything. He just showed me stuff. Like he showed me a lot of paintings that I've never seen of his online. And I was like, oh, this is cool. He just was just kind of like flipping through different paintings. Um, but yeah, yo, this was with this painting, this was definitely um my gift of clairaudience in its infancy. It matured kind of rapidly, you know what I'm saying, after that point. But this was like, again, when I was aware that there was something in the room with me. And, much to like Waiter was saying, where, even if the message comes in your own voice just to be familiar, you're aware of like, these aren't have never thought this. These are not my thoughts. You know what I'm saying? Like, word. So, word. Let me see if I can segue that into my next question for Mickey. But so the question that I wrote is, has any psychic discovery created tension or even a rejection of the idea, like from your body? And if so, like what assists you in making sure that your psychic abilities can land safely in your body?
Spiritual. Wow, yeah. There's a lot of spiritual hygiene that goes into like being a psychic. To host a space for an excellent channel, you have to be an excellent host. You have to make sure things are clean, that you eat right, you're rested, that you enjoy what you're doing, that you're passionate, you're caring, or you're in the comfortable space to let that happen. But I
Absolutely, bars.
but the spiritual hygiene, really is so important on how I have kept a really excellent filter through all these years. I also don't have the gift to see ghosts or talk to spirits. I do think that was a little magic done on me by my grandmother before I was here, because that was a big burden, a big job for her, is to deal with people who've already had their experience here. And so for me to deal with the living, to deal with the people who can make a conscious effort to change and grow now, has been a big part of it. Now, rejection with myself and my own messages, there is a personal bias that every psychic has. And I've kind of, there are books on how to hack your own personal bias with psychic readings, because sometimes I hear things that I don't want to hear. Things I don't like, that's not going to work out for you. They're not the one, things like that. And, you're going to want to pursue what you want to pursue. But your guides are always going to show up and give you the truth. If you're ready to receive, if you're in the place to receive, the information is there. And this is, I don't always experience a lot of rejection with myself, maybe just the bias, which I avoid by journaling. I do the reading, I write it down like I would say it to somebody, and I don't look at it for 15, 20 minutes sometimes. And then I come back to it and I'm like, whoa, this is talking about this, not this. I'm projecting this bias, this bias. So I can manage to escape the bias by taking a step back from it and then revisiting it. That's what this book is, or many books that I have are. But I receive more sometimes rejection from other people not hearing what they want to hear, especially if they don't have a spiritual hygiene. I don't experience it a lot. But it does happen sometimes when you ruffle people's feathers. I've never had anything like nasty, or I work with people's guides and angels, so they always have lovely things to say. But every once in a while, there's a good tongue lashing. Every once in a while, there's something that's like, oh, you're not supposed to do that, and for some reason that will come through, and they might have a rejection to that. I don't want to hear that right now. That's not what I'm on. And sometimes it's like, it's okay, it's on the table, you pick it up if that's something that you have the capacity for. But it's something that is a never ending work of just like cleaning and being open and being a good host, being a good space, and making sure that the intention of their guides are always to help them. So just be open to their guides, and they're always going to heal and give you advice through the reading that you're giving to someone else. So, but I don't ever hear or feel anything that is like rejection. Sometimes you'll get the voice, what I feel like I know to be the voice of God, very different from my other things that I receive, or myself, my highest self. And you said the thing about the voice, and it's like I always hear what I think I perceive as a man's voice. I've never heard a spirit in a feminine voice ever in my life. Like ever. Maybe my grandmother's spirit.
Wow.
That's it. I've never heard a female voice in my head ever. And anytime it's been like, hello. And it stops my thoughts that sound like me. It's like my thoughts are like da 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 da. Something else comes in and is like, hey, listen, you got to stop what you're doing, and you got to go back over there because this is what's about to happen. And it'll be so clear, like a loudspeaker, like, can you hear me? That I literally am like,
Yo. Hey, that's ironic because I've only ever heard a woman's voice. That's hilarious. When I'm creating art, right? Those downloads are always from a woman. When I hear what I perceive to be the voice of God, I think it's very similar to, all right, let me make this distinction. All right, so when I made this piece, Perception versus Reality, I didn't know who I was hearing initially until years later, right? And then that same, I like the same scent will pop up and it'll take you to a place. You're like, oh, I know this scent. It's from this place. I felt the feeling one day, and then a visual showed up with the feeling, and I said, "Oh, you're who's been pulling up on me." You know what I'm saying? You're one of the people who's been pulling up, and so it was or is my grandmother, and yeah, she just liked to watch me paint. You know what I'm saying? And I guess what's peculiar is when I hear what I assume to be God in the same way where I first heard what I now know as my grandmother, and the voice was ambiguous. Like I couldn't make out whether it was like a man or a woman. It's like an androgynous voice. I can't pin it. Like it's both. It's like an equal balance of like man, woman. But it's so calm that I feel like I can't even pick apart the two, because it's not masculine as far as aggressive, like, yo, you need to do this. It's so soft, like, hey, man. And it'll say it once. It's not into repeating itself. Like, I can check in and be like, hey, did I just hear? And they'd be like, yeah, I said what I said. I'm not going to repeat myself. You heard what I said. And so it's not, it's not forceful. It just says whatever the thing is. Even if it's said through someone else. Like it'll just, and I don't think I've experienced many people who've said something that I feel like is from God repeat themselves. Like they'll say it and be like, bro, I don't even know if I can repeat it, but like I said what I said. It's been put out there. Take it or leave it. But when I make art, yo, it's always a woman, and I would love to meet who that woman is. But essentially, what she always tells me is, you have a body. I no longer have one or care to be in one. I know you can hear me, and I know you have a lot of courage. So this message or this idea that I've given you, make it. Like, don't hesitate. Don't worry about getting in trouble, quote unquote. Don't worry about what people will think about it. Like, I've given this to you because I know you can hear me. And yeah, go paint. I know you love to paint. So just let it come out. And I'm always, curious to see how people do respond to it. Because again, I be learning about the artwork as they do, outside of specific symbols that I may put in there. But a lot of times I'll be like, hey, like, this painting didn't make sense to me for about 2-3 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, it'll take some time for me to even get it. But yeah, that's peculiar, yo. Yo, 11, I saw you kind of trip out when she said she doesn't hear the voices of women, like women's spirits. Like, is that true for you as well?
I appreciate so much because I call all of those voices my soul counsel. So it's like, who's in my soul council? I have a lot of goddesses in my soul council. The goddesses have been walking with me since I was so small. Like, it's not that I always heard women's voices, but I will always see a lot of just beautiful, like when I was very young, I would just walk the astral realms and just walk and walk. And I wasn't protected. And then there's these beings, 12 goddesses that came and vowed to protect me. And now I make paintings of these goddesses. I know the names of these goddesses. The historical research found out that their temples have been destroyed, their shrines have been destroyed, and it's all been replaced with the patriarchal gods. So that's why a lot of the paintings I make, I call that they're from the goddess portal, because it's literally a goddess portal where these goddesses want to be remembered, and they want their names to be remembered, and there's also a lack of justice. And sometimes I feel like when I have to speak, that they want me to bring justice to the spiritual wars that happened, that they had the humans facilitating spiritual wars between gods. So I hear a lot of women's voices, but I also do hear men's voices too, because there's so many different deities that watch over us and that took a hand in creating us. And I love when we talk about this as creatives, and especially in the world of painting, because it's like we are paintings too, but think about how many people influence the painting that you are, how many deities influence the painting that you are, and you are a reflection of them. Because when you make a self-portrait, you are literally painting yourself, but then it's like we are the self-portrait of the gods that made us, of the gods that walk with us in every moment. And when we die, I feel that we return to the consciousness of the gods that we are. So yeah, I have a lot of women in my soul council. There's about 12 strong women. And then of course they have husbands. So, and yeah, but across so many different lands, because we have so many different ancestors. Yep. So yeah, that spiritual lineage, that's what I think about a lot when I think about what times that certain voices come, certain symbols come, just recognizing that that's the spiritual lineage activating.
Absolutely, yo. I know we're literally approaching our last minute, but if y'all don't mind just going a little bit over, I definitely want to pose a question that's for each of y'all that will hopefully be some help to someone who may have an ability. They may not know how to name it or feel safe or supported with whatever gifts that they have. Waiter, James, can you start for us? And anybody who will either watch this now or catch the playback, who may have a gift and are seeking, some support, what are some things that you might want to leave a young lady or a young man who has gifts and doesn't necessarily know how to show up fully in that?
I'm kind of still in that phase. Is you got to trust yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because the moment you stop trusting what you're receiving, and I feel like that's when you start mentally slipping, because then you start questioning yourself, like, am I crazy? And you're not crazy. Just trust and believe whatever you're receiving is what you're receiving, because the truth is what we basically present it to be. So if you got a gift and it's happening to you, trust it, honor it, and just be in that. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna find everybody and their mama. They not gonna be like you. And honestly, everybody's gift is different. It looks different for everybody. It's no one thing that, oh, it's just like that for you. No, it's not like that. Trust what you're receiving. You know what I'm saying? And be calm with it. You know what I mean? Because when spirit talk or whatever talk, it's gonna get your attention. And so sometimes it's not gonna be anything you can do that you can block the message. Because if it's for you, it's gonna be for you. And if they meant for you to have the message, you gonna get it. So trust it, receive it. And if it's any messages that has to go to somebody else, so you got to relay the message, just be confident in your abilities. That's just what it is, man. Be confident and trust it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, man. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Mickey and or 11. You know what I'm saying? Same question, yo. Just anything that y'all might want to share with a younger version of y'all. You know what I'm saying? Whether a boy or a girl, as to how it is that they could operate more fully in the gift that they have.
I really plan to give some insight on this. So, I mentioned earlier, like, there's a big fit job with distinguishing who you are, what you sound like. And you have to spend time with yourself to sit down and be like, I would never say that to myself. So that's not me. And so anything like that, your angels, your guides, God, even, they don't say certain words. Certain things do not come past their ability to give to you. So once you know that there are certain entities that will never say certain things to you, particularly negative, doubtful, or fearful things, you can understand and conceptualize what you sound like and what's a safe voice in your head. But anybody who's looking to develop this gift really should look into their accidental insights, their accidental or emergency clairaudience or clairvoyance. I don't know, I just got a feeling and something told me to look down and I picked up a coin and it was this, or I don't know, I was just thinking of you and I decided to call you as you were texting me. Anything like that, that is accidental clairvoyance, accidental psychic ability. If you can try to pay attention to, hey, wait a minute, didn't I just think about that person, or didn't I just hear something in my head that directed me there? Start to pay attention to that. But there's something that develops in us. It's like the inner child, right? And they call it the psychic child syndrome, where it is like almost like abused. It is something that is like, oh, shush, you don't know what you're talking about, all the time. And in order to coax this intuition, in order to like really be somebody who is going to like pull all of this truth out and all of this safe information, you have to like cultivate a flow state with calm confidence, and you have to coax your intuition out of yourself. You have to say, it's okay, I believe you, I trust you, you can tell me the crazy thing. And sometimes if I wake up and I'm like, apple banana, and I'm like, what the hell was that? But sometimes I wake up like, listen, your life is a beautiful thing, and today you have to go in the water and wash away those, like, and I'll wake up with like these crazy thoughts of like God or myself just kissing me with this bit of intuition. And if I wake up like the apple banana, what the fuck is that? I am literally scaring away the psychic child. I'm scaring away the intuition. It gets scared very easily. It's abused. So you have to say, I love you, I trust you, you're not crazy. And for some reason, all of the voices, all of the spirits come out. But that calm, that confidence, and paying attention to those incidents where it seems like an accident that you're hearing something. Those are the key to really developing that. And again, I'll circle back, read a book, one book. I have hundreds of books on this stuff, but like one book will change how much you're willing to receive. The universe is like, oh, that's what kind of effort you're putting towards this. Here you go. One book and I was able to see auras. So it's just the bit of trying and coaxing and trusting and not feeling afraid of looking or sounding crazy. If you know that you're here to give something good.
Say that. All that. Apples and bananas. All right, so, 11, if you could chime in, please.
Okay. I feel like everybody spoke on such powerful things. So I'm gonna try to not say the same thing everybody else said. And I feel like something that discouraged me when I was first seeing spirits, not while I always saw them the whole time, but when I was in more dense places and I felt like I had to cut my sight off and I had to close my third eye, is because I didn't know how to set boundaries. A lot of times people are so afraid of their gifts or seeing spirits or hearing spirits because they have this fear of like, who's going to protect me? Or they have the fear of like, if a spirit is in the room, I can't call the cops, like, so it's like people don't know how to really the spirit world. So I would say that when you're in the spirit world, it's the same as when you're in the physical world in terms of the relationships that you build. Like everything is a relationship. So if you have a certain connection with God or a certain connection with different guardians or anybody in your soul council, any spirit that's around you, the relationship you have with them, it has the potential to grow over time. Like you can say, I don't want to talk right now. You could say, only talk to me when I'm asleep. You could say, only talk to me when I use this herbal medicine or plant medicine. Like you can create certain boundaries or dedicate certain times of the day, or you could say, okay, I only want to do it on a full moon, or I only want to do it like right before I wake up during the day, like whatever is comfortable for you, because you are autonomous, you are sovereign, and you are powerful, and you are a spirit too. A lot of times people would speak to spirits and they forget you a spirit. Like you are also the unknown, you are also this magical presence. So when you talk to a spirit, when you see a spirit, think that spirit can also see your spirit too. You're speaking spirit to spirit. It's nothing to be afraid of, So that's why I would say it's nothing to be afraid of. You have the power to set boundaries. You have the power to open yourself and close yourself. And you also have to recognize though, too, when you are like out in the world, once the spirits know that you can see them, they will look at you. Like they'll look at you, they'll try to talk to you, they'll be around you more. They'll seek you out. Like you stand out so much. Yeah, you stand out so much. So it's like, be prepared for that. Like, that's why at different points, you may need to set boundaries. If you're at work and you're like, I don't need to see the spirit of my boss right now. I don't need to see the spirits that's walking around these halls right now, because it's going to make me like have a different experience. So we have to recognize that, like, although like we have the opportunity to be in our own careers, there's like people who have these gifts that are still in the matrix, and parts of us are still in the matrix. So it's like in the matrix there's so many spirits walking around without regulation. You have that power to self-regulate and to also regulate the spirits that want to interact with you. You can say, if you're going to come to me, this is how you need to behave. This is the energy, this is the frequency that I'm on. And the frequency that you align with, you can also control that with the music that you listen to. You can set that intention with everything you do. It's about your intentions. And I think that is most of the main thing I think is so important when people start off, when they get scared. It's a lot of times because they don't know like how to regulate. So I would just say, know that you can regulate, know that you can set boundaries, know that you are powerful, and know that you are a spirit too. Your spirit is very alive and very active inside of you. You could go into spirit mode and then talk to the spirit. While you're in your human, you may want to, chill out. So it's up to you. There's no right or wrong way to do it per se, as long as you protect yourself and you're not harming anyone and you set the boundaries you need to keep your internal stability, your internal security, and protect yourself. You have the power to do that. And don't be afraid to call on God or to just say love and light, love and light. Sometimes just the word love and light will make spirits that's like low vibrational go away. Just love and light. You don't even got to say a whole prayer or nothing, like just that little thing,
Or a simple go away.
Yeah. It's just like when you communicating with people who are in the living experience, it's about the relationships that you build, it's about being real with yourself and being real with the spirits you encounter, because we're all spirits. The spirit world is not separated from the living world. It's all happening at the same time. So you can activate it now and you can activate it in whatever way you see fit, but it is all happening at once. So the strengths that you have as a human is also the strengths that's innately inside of you. And you can activate it and set the tone and go at your own pace. Go at your own pace. Do not let any of your spirit friends, or if you can't watch scary movies right now because you got a spirit in your realm, don't watch it. You have to set your own pace and know how you want to interact with the spirit world, how deep you want to go. That is up to you. So yes, just reinforcing that autonomy and knowing that you are powerful. Go your own pace and set the boundaries you need to protect yourself. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Yo, that was lit. I ain't gonna hold you. I didn't think that you would be able to say something different. I was like, nah, they gave two lists of some answers for her to say something, and that was altogether different. So, and all stuff that it was, equally as valuable. Thank y'all for sharing. Yeah, one of the main reasons that I have y'all along with me, yo. Of course, y'all were willing. But out of the many people that I asked, it was probably like 3 more people that I asked. A few people were like, I don't know, let me think about it. And I said, no, thank you. Respectfully, like, I only want to speak with the people who know that they have a gift and want to advocate for that in confidence. You know what I'm saying? Like, because granted, all of us here are still figuring things out, sharpening our resources, our tools, what have you. Though at the same time, we in no sense do I think any of us require training wheels. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, with certain conversations, I didn't want anybody here who like would fold under the pressure of eyes being on them with what they know and what they've experienced. And so I thank y'all for being courageous. I thank y'all for sharing, so much of yourselves. And y'all left behind some beautiful stuff for some other people to listen back to. I'm gonna listen back to this drawing myself. So, I love how this worked out, and thank y'all. Just thank y'all. Give a round of applause for yourselves. I would unmute everybody, but it would probably give crazy feedback. I have nothing else for y'all, man. Go out and continue to be beautiful beings out in the world. You feel me? Keep making people smile. And I'm mad giddy. I'm excited that y'all shared what y'all shared. Last thing. I definitely want to say this. I've prayed a lot, about this specific episode. And for you all, I just want to make y'all aware of that. Because again, like, not to be like spooky or cryptic, like I understand how defensive people can get in not understanding what we're talking about, or immediately wanting to typecast it as, oh, that's evil, that's just, and it's like, again, I speak a shield, you know what I'm saying, around each one of us and our gifts, because I'm fully aware as to what the source of them is, you know what I'm saying, and I'm thankful that y'all are doing it and that y'all are allowing that y'all are just being obedient, to being obedient to a power that will help so many people, whether or not they get it yet or not. So I thank y'all. Again, I speak a lot of protection and peace within y'all practice. And love y'all. I'll chat with y'all soon. Word. I guess we can play a commercial or something. There's a couple things left on the run of show that didn't happen. At this point, it can be whatever. But yeah, man, this was fire. There will be
Off the forthcoming album. Yeah. Discourse of Will Porter, no particular order. Number one, our nation hella distorted. Evident that we ain't relevant. We aborted from the womb of America. Bystanders recorded. Another orphan, poor kid. Seeing death through the erase our endorphins. No more than third, fourth, fifth time. Witness it, made us all bored. Now we forfeit emotions. Mixed potions, but we miss them. Listen, this art of mine is God's mission. I hope you paying attention. Our body's terms and conditions. Rewritten through pigments. Applied to a perfect picture. Tell the story well. No pressure. Paintbrush edits. The hustler or real. Price is negotiable, but don't compromise for a sale. Because compromise, we prevail. Killing cops on every block. Want an outcast in the cell. It's the return of the gangster. Paid actors, caricatures of true masters and pranksters. I don't give it out, seeing gesture about a jester. Bending all heads or a heckler, order and pecker. Bullshit aside as I do us throughout a lecture. Not saying I'm the one or one of one, take a second. Yeah. That's what y'all order, right? Yeah, that's what y'all order. Yeah, that's what they order. The modern day Will Porter. Now living in my 30s, I'm 25 years of life. Killing canvas, getting off. Orange don't suit me right. They never did a bid, though the bid price is getting high. Guillotine off my hand before I ever take heed to hype. Lord prepare me for main shit. I do all things through Christ. I'm a knight, I'm alive. Go ain't shit, I don't lie. If I let you down and left you down, then you're a fucking lie. Day to day I'm learning from my L's and overdrive at night. And unabashed custom. My bucks was low when I paid the price. My baby, yeah, fucking had to roll the dice. Art made it out the country before I ever took a flight. Art made it 10 talk shit, no real, you a genius, yikes. We gon' ride and kill them all, let them ride and die. Custom taught me how to rap and I'm taught them how to ride and fight. Now I'm poppin', we can get back to our drop, keep our heights. Me and the collective got a lot of hits that sit tight. Yeah. This what y'all order, right? Yeah! This what they order, yeah. The modern day Will Porter, I gotta put this shit in order. I'm in my first stage of mourning, denying that our people dying. I'm like fucking post-mortem. I can't cry, I got shit to do. Busy like a reporter, I got the news that comes with skill. 2 weeks later, eyes forward. Just spoke to girl like yesterday. Yeah, cool story, next story. Well, you gotta keep painting the portrait, so believe it anytime that you heard that Willie was mentioned. Killing crack and all damage, like who's this accident shit. Extravagant with how I bust they head to paintbrush slip. That's the line on my scope is again. My cash is plenty, madly in more while I'm scoping again. Cannot box me in, I'm locked in, shoes filled with rocks again. As I'm up Bill climbing, just gasping for oxygen. Waving out the big flames on the people who clocking still, yeah. That's what y'all order, right? Yeah! That's what they order. The modern day Will Porter, what up? Yeah. Hey, shout out to Dusty and friends.
All right, y'all gotta get out. Go home. You filthy animals.